Hey, how's it going? My name is Ryan Vanderwill, and I'm going to be talking to you guys about college education being free and paid for by the government. With the rising cost of college education, tuition should be covered for all community colleges and universities. This would allow anyone who wants to continue their education with the opportunity to do so regardless of their circumstance. If people are willing to work hard in college, it is in the government's best interest to create that opportunity for them. With college education costs continuing to increase, it has made it harder and harder for lower middle class families to be able to afford sending their kids to college. The only option for prospective college students are to take out student loans, and by doing so, once they graduate, are engulfed in student debt. This is a vicious cycle that can be made better if college education, in fact, was free. We will take a look at a workable plan for dealing with this problem, some of the benefits of adopting this proposed policy, and answering some counterarguments that could be made against this proposal. The first thing to look at before anything is how this type of system would actually be put in place. A policy that is going around in our government right now is already trying to accomplish a portion of this. Our President Barack Obama is currently trying to pass a plan that would make 2 years of community college education free. LA Times states Obama wants to see the first 2 years of community college for free for anybody who is willing to work for it. If this is passed, this would allow millions of people the opportunity to better themselves, not by getting money each month from the government, but by going out and working hard in school. The way that this proposal would work would be with the government paying for 75% of tuition and the states covering the rest. This is a huge game changer for creating a path for people who can't afford college with the opportunity to pursue it. If the government is already willing to consider paying for 2 years of community college, why not pay for the full education? An example of how the government is already doing this is stated by the New York Times. Taxpayers support the education of convicted criminals who undergo rehabilitation in prison. They have an opportunity to earn high school and college degrees. If the government can pay for a criminal's education, shouldn't the government pay for the education of people who have never committed a crime? The United States of America has 5% of the world's population, but actually has 25% of the world's prison population. If the government is willing to spend money on people that have committed crimes, but it's not willing to spend money on people who haven't committed any crimes, seems unfair and backwards. The government offers these opportunities because it lessens the likelihood of repeat prison sentences if a prisoner obtains a college degree. If people are willing to work for it, then they should have the avenue in order to accomplish it. Regardless if they have committed a crime or if they haven't never been in trouble, the same opportunities should be available to everyone. By setting up a system that would allow students to attend college for free, it would allow that to happen, and the government can use the same system that they are proposing for community colleges for the bigger four-year schools. In order to keep costs down, if a student wanted to attend a private school, the student would then be responsible for differences in the cost from going to a state school to a private school. Scholars for Dev states, throughout the world there are actually numerous countries that offer free college education. The top 5 countries where a student can study were Finland, Austria, Norway, and Germany, and Sweden. If other countries that are not as big of an economical and population powerhouse as the United States can do it, then surely there must be a way that we can do it. By creating this new normal for education in the United States, it could reshape how education is looked at in the world and start an education movement. Now let's take a look at some of the benefits that make college education tuition-free would have. A major benefit of college education being free would be that there are a lot more educated minds in the population. The drive to any good business is the competition that it faces, and by having more educated people, there will be more competition, which would create more advanced techniques or technology. With more educated people in the world, the taxpayers would carry the burden initially, but the government support of a college education can help eliminate the need for welfare, as stated in the LA Times. The government spends millions of dollars a day in supporting families on welfare, and if these families were able to have the opportunity to educate themselves for free and attain a degree, eventually the snowball effect of having education throughout the generations of that family would mean less money being spent on welfare out by the government. If the option is readily available, then people will take advantage of it. Just like people take advantage of getting government assistance with welfare, people would take advantage of getting free money that would help them improve themselves and help them make more money in the long run. To further emphasize the amount of money that the government could be saving, For instance, in 2013, the unemployment rate for college graduates over 25 years old was 3.6% and 7.5%. For high school graduates, aside from the better chances of more people in the workforce, it could save the government and taxpayers billions of dollars. The United States has over 318 million people. If the government was able to provide free college education and unemployment dropped 2%, it would equate to over 6 million people working. If the government is paying unemployment benefits for each individual to the amount of $500 a month, then the total savings would be around $3 billion. This money could directly be put towards more education or community projects that would have a benefit beyond just the college student. The most important benefit of having free college education is in the health of the graduates. Pros and cons of college state that 83% of college graduates reported being in excellent health, while 73% of high school graduates reporting being in good health. And in average, college graduates live 6 years longer than high school graduates. Our health is the most important facet in our lives, and one that can't be taken for granted. If we look at this from a tax standpoint, then the government is going to be getting 6 more years of tax collections from everyone that goes to college. With 6 more years of tax collections per individual, it could equate to billions of dollars that could be put back into the system. When taking a look at the benefits of creating a free college education model, the immediate impact will be money spent, but the lasting effect could be one that's full of monetary returns on the investment of an individual's education. Of course, there is an opposing view inside as to why college education should remain the same, and is one that deserves to be looked at. A main argument for people not receiving free college education is the effect that it could have on the motivation of the person. Cohen for New York Times argues that students who receive a free ride are also less likely to value the education versus having to work for it. This is an unfortunate byproduct of human nature. Many self-made millionaires made their fortunes without graduating high school, much less college. The desire to succeed is the driving force, with college just being one of the tools in the student's arsenal. This is an example of the exception, not the rule. One can then ask how many of these people do they know, and what percent of the population do these individuals take up? There are too many variations as to why some people made millions without having gone to college. For instance, the person could be gifted in a certain area, have a strong family backing, be an inventor, or happen to be in the right time, right place. Andrew Kelly writes for Forbes, stating, "Simply shifting who pays the bill will do little to change the bill itself." So while additional federal investments might cover the cost of a free public option today, those same sums won't go as far next year or the year after, unless colleges also make changes to their cost structure. Taxpayers would have to foot an increasingly large bill. If you look at this argument with only money being spent with no return, the proposal will never work. What Andrew fails to mention is the money that could be saved from providing this to everyone. The return on the investment that they are looking for are going to be in less unemployment spending by the government, less welfare spending by the government, and more innovation that creates new jobs, or by healthier people living longer. When taking a look at arguments for why college education is a bad idea, we can see that expectations to the rule don't always mean that is the status quo, and how spending money with no return doesn't always mean that the return on investment won't be there. With the passing of a bill that would allow college students to attain a college education at no charge, it will help create a new normal in our educational system. With this new normal, it will lead to a smarter, stronger, economical, and healthier population. When examining why college education should be free, it is hard to argue against the possible benefits that this could lead to. Some of the benefits that were discussed were the population would have more educated minds, with which would lead to more business competition, which in turn would lead to more innovation. The lowering of the amount of people on unemployment and welfare, which would equate to billions of taxpayer dollars being saved, which would allow those funds to be spent elsewhere. And the most important benefit is the fact that if more people have a college education, then the college-educated population would be 10% healthier and live 6 years longer. As a working adult that is working hard and continuing on with attaining a college education, I fully understand the costs and sacrifices that have to be made in order to accomplish this. There are millions of people just like me that may or may not have the money in order to work towards this goal. The United States has always been at the forefront of revolutions, and it is about time that an academic revolution happens. This revolution should start with offering free college education to those who want to work for it. Thank you.